Thanksgiving Days of Noah. My name is Daniel Vallis from InformedChristians.com, a website ministry devoted to discerning current events from a Christian perspective. This is just a watch of what has been going on already. It is not a prediction. I hope you had a wonderful and blessed day of Thanksgiving considering what God has done for you over the past year. This time of year is when we stop and reflect and meditate and consider all the blessings that we know God has done for us and all the ones that we don't know that He did for us. There is so much to be thankful for. We always have a reason to give thanks to the Lord for what He is doing. And one thing we can be thankful now is for the wisdom and insight that He's giving in these last days, in these latter days, as we see so much coming together. Why? Because Christ wants us to live in light of His coming, and He gives us signs ahead of time so that we can prepare, so we can be ready when He comes. Even though people take time apart for holidays, the world still goes on. There's still things that are happening. So we're just going to review some things that happened. Yesterday, another Star Wars trailer came out, and again it emphasized the Nazi symbolism and the colors even, and a lot of the same theming that goes with that. Again, reinforcing a lot that they've already shown before, but further pushing into the emphasis. And this one had a very ominous tone to it because it dwelt on the dark side, and it had one particular statement in it that really caught my attention. So let's listen to that right now.
Have you felt it? Yes. Even you have never faced such a test. And it's time.
What has been the whole theme in the Alice teasers that they put out? It's time. It's about time. Time is not on your side. And now we hear the same echoes from the Star Wars. And we've seen it echoed before too in a sense, but now they're blatantly using almost the exact same phraseology from the Alice in Wonderland. Because it is that time, according to them, as far as they know. Which shouldn't surprise us because yesterday was the 150th anniversary of Alice in Wonderland, the original story. The timing of all this is not by coincidence. The anniversary of Alice, a few hours after CERN's Alice division, marks their highest energy levels. And of course, a couple days ago, NASA released a picture of what they call the Cheshire Cat Galaxy grouping, and they used to talk about bending light and similar concepts that we've been discussing along with Alice and CERN. Again, this is not coincidence. NASA is not the scientific body that a lot of people think it is. It's used to control and manipulate and to spread lies. If you don't think so, ask them where stars come from, where planet Earth came from, and you'll get a whole bunch of baloney thrown at you. Deliberate lies from Satan. Then today, Pope Francis's music album finally came out called Wake Up. And we've talked about before in our previous videos how they've had that whole theme of wake up. Awakening. There's going to be an awakening of the underworld, of the underground, Hades, Star Wars, The Force Awakens. There's been a whole theme this summer. We've covered that in our Enemy Action video. But now, at this time, right in context, everything that's going on, right, especially with all these anniversary dates and the record sets going on, he now releases this Wake Up. Satan is sending out messaging and parables for his disciples to tell them to wake up, the hour is late. The Bible has warnings for Christians to watch for and tells us when they say these things, know that sudden destruction is nigh. There's two different messages, two different audiences, two different groups of people waiting for two different people to be revealed. And both events are going to happen at the same time. Christian, you need to wake up. Of course, the Pope is most likely going to be the false prophet. He's definitely he already is the high priest of the Queen of Heaven from his own lips, basically. But it's interesting when you look at this album. Track number 9 is from Pope Francis, and it's an invocation for peace with Shimon Peres and Mohammed Abbas at the Vatican Gardens, Vatican City. If you remember last year, this was a historical event too. The President of Israel and the leader of the Palestinians met at the Vatican City. The epitome of the need for peace and safety right there at the Vatican. And you think, when people think of today of peace, they often immediately think of Israel and the cup of trembling that Jerusalem has become and the problems there. And basically whoever solves that situation is going to be adored as the world's peacemaker. Everybody knows that is a picture of the epitome of peace and safety. And here on this album that the Pope released called Wake Up, he makes a direct reference to that and an invocation for peace. This is a prominent call for peace and safety. Very prominent, using the epitome illustration picture that comes to people's minds of peace and safety. Orchestrated by the Vatican, too, by the way. So I see a lot coming together just in past few days. We've seen all the calls for peace and safety. So much going on. And of course, the Bible tells us that sudden destruction is coming. And we see with the world events with Russia and Syria and Turkey and all that, it's heating up real quickly. It's not going to calm down. It's going to get worse, folks, real quick. Going back to Thanksgiving, we're still in the season. Today is Black Friday, and throughout the weekend, people are going to be forgetting everything that they should have been focusing on Thanksgiving. Thankful for what we have, and thankful for what we don't have, too, as well. And they've done a complete 180 to consumerism, covetousness, greed, desiring things from Vanity Fair. Complete 180 in less than 24 hours. I had a good amount of reflection time yesterday, and I was thinking about this. The Bible talks about how the days of Noah will be when the coming of the Son of Man will be. Jesus Christ is going to come during the days of Noah. He's going to be revealed during the days of Noah. What is that? He described it to make it clear to his disciples. It's going to be when they're partying, eating and drinking, buying and selling, marrying, planting, building, and all sorts of wickedness going on. People are going to be living like life goes on, even while the storm clouds of judgment are looming overhead. But I got to think about this. What better time of year to fit this description than where we are right now? The Thanksgiving holiday season and the days after it, where you have the epitome of feasting, partying, eating, and drinking, right back to back, separated by mere hours almost, not even that sometimes, of buying and selling. What other time of year is known for combining eating and drinking and buying and selling? This time of year. Thanksgiving, Black Friday, through Cyber Monday. And it's not just an American concept either. It's spreading around the world. But especially now through Christmas time when people pursue after that pagan holiday, there's so much consumerism, buying and selling going on now. This time of year kicks off the world-recognized season for it, so to speak. And between now, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, people are going to be having office parties and family get-togethers and association Christmas parties. Between now and Christmas, it's going to be the epitome of eating and drinking, buying and selling, living as though life is going on. One big party, not caring about eternity. We are in those days, literally. We are in the epitome of those days right now. So it should catch our attention when we are surrounded by calls for peace and safety. We see so much enemy action, but then we also see the context of the days of Noah. We are in the time period that Christ warned us about. And as I was thinking yesterday, the Lord brought to mind that there's some other numbers associated with the days of Noah. When you think of Noah's flood and the days of Noah, immediately one particular number comes to mind, 40 days. And even most of the secular world who even heard of Noah knows that it was for 40 days. For 40 days and 40 nights it rained, non-stop. So I was thinking that 40 days came after. That was a time period after the beginning of the events. So let's plug that into our calendar timeline and see how that fits. So I plugged it into the timeline, and technically the 40 days starts when the flood began. Obviously, when the fountains of the deep were open and the windows of heaven were open, that started the 40 days of non-stop raining. So looking at the historical dates from the Jewish calendar overlaid onto ours, that would have started about the 30th, which brings us to 9th of December in just a couple days. So we could say that we are still in the days of Noah. Very much so. The days and the numbers of days associated with Noah and the immediate judgment of that, we're still in that. Especially the season of eating and drinking, buying and selling, we're definitely in that too. The wickedness that's going on is going through the roof. Peace and safety, those cars are going on now. We are still in the days of Noah. But I was looking at it, you could also make the argument that 40 days is in more of a general sense. And just reading through this story, you can see that 40 days is mentioned 4 times, and not always with the days of rain. So if we did a calculation of just from a 40-day time frame from the very start of the events when Noah went into the ark, and that kicked off the judgment in a sense, and even the reading of the account in Scripture, if you read it quickly, you can almost get the sense that the flood judgment started on the day he went into the ark. But that's not true. He went into the ark, and 7 days later, then judgment came. But in effect, the day he went into the ark and the door was closed, effectively judgment was sealed on that day. So we could say that 40 days is from both. You could count a 40-day time frame from the very beginning as well, the very beginning events. And so if we plug that in, that would put us at December 2nd, in just a few days. The Bible does say when you hear them call for peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh. And that was not too long ago. Either way, we are definitely running out of time. When we look at CERN's schedule, what has CERN been up to? We find out that right now they're in the middle of one of their physics runs. They're going to be running it through December 13th. And even toward the end of that period, they have some machine development that they might shut down on for. So December 13th is on the high end of when they're going to be working. So it should catch our attention when we look at this. They also appear to expect something to happen within this time frame as well. Again, we don't know, but we should watch the enemy and keep an eye open. And especially since just the other day on the 25th, they remarked about hitting record high energy levels of way above anything else. They are trying to jiggle the door right now on trying to open the bottomless pit. Any day now, God is going to allow them to click through and open that door. They're trying it right now, and they know there's a particular time period where they should be trying. And then they're going to be shut down for a while. But right now, we see the calls for peace and safety. So we know sudden destruction is very imminent. So it is no coincidence, I think, that this narrow time frame, especially in context of the 40 days, that's not a coincidence. I thought it very interesting just from a personal account of how I put out the video warning of peace and safety, and then the Lord put me down for a rest period. But the very next day after I did that was the Russian plane being shot down in Syria. And if you've been watching the news, that has only been increasing in tension. Tension is definitely building up. Russia's moved their S-400 missile system over there. They've moved a missile cruiser closer to shore to shoot down anything that threatens their planes too as well. All their bombers are now having a fighter escort, and they've increased their bombing along the border too. And neither side wants to take responsibility for it, but the evidence seems to point that Russia was in the right. And there's even increasing evidence that America is the one who gave Turkey the evidence to ambush the Russian fighters. And that's why Putin used the phrase stabbed in the back. You are going to see things escalate real quick from here on out. And you need to pay attention to the news. Don't let your guard down during this holiday time period. Sudden destruction is coming, and it's ramping up real quickly. We've seen several calls for peace and safety, but I think the two most prominent ones that carry the most weight were the UN resolution for peace and safety on the 21st, and then the very next day, or just a few hours after that, the Pope made his speech in Vatican Square there, talking about peace and safety. And both of those figures and bodies carry significant weight in our world, and I think those are very significant. The other ones are very significant too as well, but it is interesting when we consider the story of Noah and the flood. He was given a 7-day heads up before the flood came. I don't know how many days we have left, but do not mistake a calm before the storm as an absence of the storm. We will see the warning and then have some time to make final preparations before he comes and before sudden destruction comes. A lot has happened just within this month. Do not forget this. Pause this video and refresh it. Go to our website, the Situation Room, to refresh your memory. Don't let all the events and distractions going on right now take you away from the fact that so much is going on in the world right now that Christ warned us about. And the warnings are not for our morbid curiosity. It's for our warning so we can be ready. Matthew 25:6-7, and at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. And then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. Christ gives two warnings in Scripture. When they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh. And here in this passage, there is a cry made that the bridegroom is coming. Both are coming at the same time almost. I hope you will remember Lot's wife. She was told to get ready, but she did not. Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. May Christ find you stepping away from the world and the cares of this life in eager anticipation to meet him. May Christ give you the wisdom that you need to serve him first and highest above all else. Maranatha.